Part 10. 9 Generations of Villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 91. Lin Feng secretly wrote down Mu Kui's name and planned to keep a good relationship with him in the future. If someone else said this, he might still doubt it, but Li Faju saved his life, so there was no reason to lie to him. Let's get back to the point. Li Faju asked, "How is it? Do you plan to continue the test, or let me take the essence and blood to enter the book?" "Of course I will continue the test," Lin Feng smiled confidently. He hasn't achieved the goal of shocking everyone yet, how could he give up? And he is very confident about luck. He, Lin Feng, the son of destiny. If we really talk about luck, I don't know how many times higher than Qingning. It's just that Qingning's luck is reflected in the acquisition of natural materials and treasures, while he is in all aspects. Especially the triggering of opportunities, the more dangerous the situation, the higher the chance. Okay, let's start. Li Faju nodded with satisfaction. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Lin Feng slowly came to the luck plate. He held his breath and calmed his mind, placed his right hand on the plate, and had some expectations in his heart. When he was in the lower domain, he had also taken a talent test, but the old man Tianji was cautious and would deliberately help him hide some of his luck. Therefore, he himself did not know how strong his luck was. But he put his hand down for a long time. No response. The yin and yang fish on the plate seemed to be dead, and there was no sign of rotation at all. Not only that, there was a unique pressure in the air, which made it difficult for him to breathe, and his blood was stagnant. This pressure was familiar to Lin Feng. After feeling a little cold, he suddenly woke up and turned his head to look at Zhang Lianyu behind Xuanhuan. Sure enough. At this time, Zhang Lianyu's eyes were empty, and there seemed to be a complete star in them. The cold air was already permeated within a few feet of her body. She is using the Emperor's source to interfere with the operation of the luck plate. Lin Feng suddenly realized and was very angry. Those who have the Emperor's source have the appearance of a great emperor. From ancient times to the present, these people regard the Emperor's source as their life and never show it to others easily. But Zhang Lianyu was so good that she would bring up the Emperor's source at any time, as if she was afraid that others would not know it. Let's talk about Gu Changqing, the head of Juyan sect, and other peak masters except Xiao Hong'ai. The moment they sensed the Emperor's power, they were all nervous, surrounded by flowing light, afraid that Zhang Lianyu would blow up the sect again. But just when Lin Feng was also frightened and retracted his right hand on the Dao plate, the increasingly strong Emperor's power disappeared in an instant. Zhang Lianyu herself also returned to normal again, with a sneer on her beautiful face. Seeing this, Lin Feng frowned and put his hand on the luck Dao plate again. Boom! The Emperor's power emerged again, pressuring all directions. Lin Feng took his hand back again with a dark face. As expected, the Emperor's power disappeared again. No doubt. Zhang Lianyu told Lin Feng with practical actions that if he dared to conduct a luck test, she would dare to blow up the sect. The scene was unusually quiet for a while. The Emperor's might appeared and disappeared from time to time, causing the low-level disciples to lose their minds and turn pale. Lin Feng's face was darker than ever before, just like charcoal. Gu Changqing and other peak masters had a headache. As the Emperor's might disappeared and appeared, their hearts were sometimes hanging high and sometimes falling, which was really exciting. "Junior sister, did you give the 9 abyss soul embryos that the Supreme Elder snatched back to Zhang Lianyu?" Gu Changqing sent a voice message. At this time, Xiao Hong'ai's complexion improved slightly, and she sent a voice message to reply, "I gave them to Qingning and Mu Bai first, and saw them use them with my own eyes. Lianyu has used it once, and I plan to slow down first." "Slow down?" Gu Changqing's mouth twitched. "Slow down." Zhang Lianyu's madness obviously worsened again. She even started to use the emperor's self-explosion as a toy. Helpless. Gu Changqing also knew that the 9 abyssal embryos were precious, not cabbage, and he couldn't let the Supreme Elder snatch them again, right? Junior sister, if you can't control your own apprentice, then I, as the head of the sect, will have to take action, Gu Changqing reminded again. Xuanhuan I understood what he meant. Although Zhang Lianyu is the appearance of the Empress, the explosion of Emperor Yuan is too harmful to the section. If it is out of control, then Juyan sect will have to give up this Empress. Hey! Xuanhuan I rubbed his eyebrows and said to Zhang Chen, you take care of it. Okay, Zhang Chen agreed readily and shouted in words that everyone could hear, fifth junior sister, Emperor Yuan is not a toy. If you keep making trouble, I, the eldest brother, will treat you as a toy. Behavior is in line with the villain's personality, and the reward is the best technique, Buddha Buddha Sutra. Buddha Buddha Sutra? Zhang Chen was stunned. Isn't this the treasured sutra of the Buddha temple, which is also a first-class force in the central region? He is a villain. How could he learn Buddhist techniques? If he really learned it, wouldn't he have to smile evilly, say he wanted to kill the whole family, and then use the great compassion palm? This is nonsense. Wait. Zhang Chen's eyes lit up. Thinking about it carefully, it seems to be quite vivid, and it's quite cool. Originally, if he wanted to learn Buddhist skills, he had to shave his head and become a monk, wear a cassock, have a scar on his head, and then be crowned with Buddhist teachings by a high monk. But he has a system, and he only needs to learn it with one click. If there are other top-notch skills, he can change it at any time. In other words, this Futuo Futu Sutra can be learned for fun first. At this moment, he has begun to think about what Dharma name he should give himself. Looking at the others, they are already speechless. Zhang Chen is flirting with his junior sister in front of the head of Juyan sect and the masters of each peak. Don't be too arrogant. The point is, everyone is still helpless. Now many elders and disciples know that although Zhang Lianyu and others are crazy, they are very close to Zhang Chen and obey his orders. What makes everyone speechless is still behind. After hearing Zhang Chen's words, Zhang Lianyu's delicate body trembled first, and then a blush rose on her fair cheeks. I don't know what she remembered. She was so excited that even her breathing became rapid. Such a look is pleasing to the eyes. Although she didn't say anything, everyone seemed to guess that she should be shouting in her heart, is there such a good thing? This definitely had the opposite effect. As expected, the imperial power appeared again, and it became stronger and stronger at a very fast speed. In just a few breaths, it almost made the low-level disciples faint, reaching the point where they could explode at any time. Fortunately, Zhang Chen was quick-witted and took Zhang Lianyu into his arms. The latter instantly calmed down, otherwise the consequences would be unimaginable. You, hold on tight, don't let go. Sect leader Gu Changqing also breathed a sigh of relief. At that moment, he almost wanted to kill Zhang Lianyu before Emperor Yuan exploded. It's not that he is cruel, but this is the only way to avoid losses to the sect. Isn't this bad? Hearing this, Zhang Chen said with a straight face, even if it is the sect leader's order, it is related to my character, how can I do this? Put away your moving hand first, and then talk to me about character. Gu Changqing was furious. Okay. Zhang Chen shrugged helplessly and took back his salty pig hand. But the next second, boom! Emperor Wei appeared again, and this time he pressed directly towards Gu Changqing. You should continue. Gu Changqing was completely speechless. As soon as this was said, almost everyone tacitly turned their eyes away, looking like I didn't see anything. Only Lin Mubai and Qing Ning were thinking. After a long time, Lin Muibai's eyes lit up, and he also wanted to get closer to Zhang Chen, but was kicked away by the latter. Qing Ning smiled, touched Xiaobai's head, and asked, Xiaobai, Do you have any big moves? The kind that can self-destruct? Xiaobai was confused. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 92. Lin Feng was very unhappy. This should have been his stage to show off, but everyone's attention was on Zhang Chen. While Zhang Lianyu was being honest, he quickly pressed his right hand on the luck disc. Without Zhang Lianyu's intervention, the disc really became normal, and the black and white fish on it rotated rapidly. In an instant, the mysterious rime enveloped the surroundings, and a visible air column rushed out of Lin Feng's body, soaring straight up, and instantly broke through 10 feet. Yes, the luck is blue, and the air column is 10 feet, which meets the standards of a true disciple. Li Faju nodded with satisfaction. The words had just fallen. The yin and yang fish on the disc rotated faster, and the world suddenly changed. Purple air came from the east and stretched for thousands of miles. At the same time, the air column belonging to Lin Feng rose again, and in an instant it rose another 20 feet. The air column also turned purple. The 7th color. Purple luck. This kind of luck is comparable to Qingning. Li Faju was shocked. Not only him, but also the heads of the various peaks, the head of the sect Gu Changqing, as well as the elders and disciples who were watching, were dumbfounded at this moment. If Lin Feng only had this 7-color 30-foot luck, they could still accept it. But the problem is that Lin Feng not only has a 1 in a million talent, but also has such a high luck. This is already the darling of heaven and earth. Without any hesitation, Gu Changqing stood up. Such talent and luck are enough to attract his attention, and he personally took Lin Feng's blood essence to show that the sect attaches importance to it. But he just took a step. Boom! A thunderbolt suddenly appeared in the sky, and it struck directly on the purple gas column. Then, the yin and yang fish in the luck plate actually broke out of the plate directly, swam to Lin Feng's side, and began to rotate with him as the center, sending out bursts of auspicious sounds. The gas cloud column rose again. The purple air in the sky gave way by itself, and auspicious beasts appeared in the clouds and bowed down to worship. The ground was rumbling and shaking frequently. The combination of the two made people feel like they were standing on a drum, and their blood was boiling. Is this the resonance of heaven and earth? Gu Changqing couldn't believe it. Except for Xiao Hong'ai who kept rubbing his eyebrows, his eyes were sometimes clear and sometimes dull. The other peak masters also stood up suddenly, with a fanatical look on their faces. They all knew it very well. The luck that can cause the resonance of heaven and earth is absolutely unprecedentedly powerful. Maybe it can touch the 8th color, red luck. Such a person with such luck has never appeared in the central region. Even in the upper region, it has not been seen for 10,000 years. In the expectant eyes of everyone, the luck column continued to rise, like a peerless sword, piercing the sky. It rose another 40 feet, a total of 70 feet. As red as blood. Ha ha! Red luck. 70 feet of red luck, comparable to the current empress. Gu Changqing laughed like crazy. The peak masters of swords, formations, and weapons also trembled with excitement. The sect's luck is linked to the disciple's luck. A disciple with such a strong luck will be able to directly change the sect's luck. Congratulations, Master. Our Juyan sect will rise quickly and kill the upper domain with this child, except for Xiao Hong'ai. All the peak masters congratulated in unison. At this moment, Lin Feng is no longer just the true disciple of Zhu Feng, but the hope of the entire Juyan sect. Ha ha! If this is true, then your cultivation will be able to go one step further. Gu Changqing was already laughing so hard that he couldn't close his mouth. Hearing this, many peak masters also laughed out loud. But as they laughed, their pupils shrank at the same time. Because the luck column belonging to Lin Feng showed no signs of stopping, and it was still rising rapidly. This is impossible, could it be? Gu Changqing's smile faded, and his expression became as if he had seen a ghost. Because above the red luck is the golden luck. And the golden luck represents. Just thinking of the name, he felt incredible. As the luck column rose again, the world changed again. The sun was shining brightly, and the golden light poured down on the earth. All things in the world suddenly lost their true colors and were infected by the golden light. The whole world seemed to be frozen, silent, and only the sound of the avenue was still in the ears. Just when everyone was collectively distracted, the luck pillar belonging to Lin Feng had risen 30 feet. Reaching 100 feet. Like a solid golden pillar, standing between heaven and earth. This is destiny. Gu Changqing was stunned. Even at this moment, he still couldn't say a complete sentence. The son of destiny. This person with great luck, which was only recorded in ancient books, was actually witnessed by him with his own eyes. Sects also have luck, and the carrying capacity is limited. If the Julian sect can bear this blessing, such a person with great luck will definitely rise like this golden pillar of luck. But if it can't, it will be a disaster for the sect to be destroyed. This is also the first time that Zhang Chen has seen Lin Feng's complete luck. In the 9 reincarnations, every time Lin Feng joined Julian sect, the old man Tianji would use divination to cover up some of his luck, so the luck column presented was always a 70 Zhang red column. Is that old man Tianji really asleep? Zhang Chen frowned. When Lin Feng was rescued by Li Faju, he had this guess. But the old man Tianji has always been cautious and likes to keep a hand in doing things, so he can never be sure. He has always known that the true test is Lin Feng's highlight moment, but he did not interfere in order to get the plot back on track. But he didn't expect it. Lin Feng actually exposed his identity as the son of destiny by himself. In this way, whether Julian sect dares to accept disciples will be another problem. After all, in front of the great luck of the son of destiny, the luck of Julian sect is not enough. And looking at the past and present. On the road of growth, people with great luck will encounter many powerful enemies, which is a crisis as well as an opportunity. But often, opportunities belong to people with great luck, while crises will be transferred to the sects they belong to, or their relatives and parents. Lin Feng is not only a person with great luck, but also a son of destiny. If the sect's luck cannot carry the disciples' luck, then disasters will occur frequently, and even the disaster of exterminating the sect will be caused. The original plot is also the same. With the help of Lin Feng, although Julian sect was promoted to the upper domain sect, it also accelerated the fall of Julian Patriarch. After he killed his daughter to prove his way and ascended, Julian sect was destroyed by other forces, and no one survived in the end. Lin Feng, this idiot, gave him the opportunity to show off, but he pretended too much and collapsed. Zhang Chen cursed in his heart. But Zhang Chen looked at the golden pillar of luck again. After 9 reincarnations, he always felt that Lin Feng's luck was more than that, but it seemed to be less at this time. Through the expressions of the people, Lin Feng also realized that something was wrong, and regretted it in his heart. But can he be blamed for this? He has been treated so badly recently, so naturally he wants to show off. Besides, old man Tianji is asleep, even if he wants to restrain himself, he can't do it. How could he know that his luck is so terrible? With regret in his heart, he quickly withdrew his right hand from the luck stone plate. At the same time, the yin and yang fish returned to the stone plate, the luck golden pillar disappeared, and the surroundings instantly returned to normal. At this time, everyone discovered that 12 figures appeared in the sky at some point, and they were the 12 supreme elders of Julian sect. The supreme elder is Xiao Hongai's grandfather. He still had a weak breath. After communicating with the other elders through voice transmission, he looked at Lin Feng and said, "Julian sect has limited luck and cannot bear such a huge luck as yours. You should go somewhere else. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck." Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 93. The words of the Grand Elder were deeply agreed by the head of the sect and many peak masters. Even Xuanhuan, who was still dizzy just now, nodded frequently at this moment. Originally, with her personality, since she decided to accept a disciple, let alone the son of destiny, she would be willing to accept even the star of destiny. But at this moment, she felt that her grandfather's words made a lot of sense. Reasonable without knowing why. After hearing this, Lin Feng's face suddenly sank, and he felt a strong sense of shame. Although he was looked down upon by some sects and forces in the lower domain, that was just the beginning. As long as he showed his talent and luck, these sects and forces would pay great attention to him. And this time, he has shown all his talents and luck, but was rejected by Juyin sect. Haha, Lin Feng laughed suddenly, if you don't stay here, there will be other places to stay. I, Lin Feng, have never looked at other people's eyes in my life. This time I am humiliated, ah. The words were not finished. A black shadow flashed before his eyes, and he was kicked away. He let out a scream. After falling several feet away, Lin Feng suddenly stood up, looked at the man who suddenly appeared in front of him, and said angrily, Zhang Chen. You are too much. The one who kicked him was Zhang Chen. After giving Lin Feng a roll of his eyes, Zhang Chen's voice resounded around, Zhang Chen. Senior brother Zhu Feng. I want to speak up for Lin Feng. Everyone was stunned, with question marks on their faces. Speaking up for injustice? Let's not talk about this matter not being in line with Zhang Chen's character. Just say one thing. Who would speak up for injustice and kick the victim away first? Lin Feng was also confused. Speaking up for him? Zhang Chen? Funny, right? He remembered it very clearly. In Lingshanfang, if Zhang Chen hadn't scared him half to death, and the old man Tianji hadn't used up a lot of soul power for this, and finally fell into a deep sleep, he wouldn't have faced such a situation. For a moment, Lin Feng forgot that he had just been kicked, and just thought with a sullen face, what exactly Zhang Chen wanted to do. Zhang Chen. This is the decision of the Supreme Elders, retreat immediately. Gu Changqing came back to his senses and shouted loudly. Ignoring Gu Changqing, Zhang Chen looked up at the 12 Supreme Elders and said, Excuse me, Supreme Elders, can Lin Feng pass the true transmission test? The Supreme Elders frowned. Since you don't reply, I will take it as your tacit consent. Zhang Chen asked loudly, You often say that the sect rules are above everything. I have heard this sentence so many times that my ears are calloused. According to the sect rules, as long as you pass the true transmission test, you can become a true disciple of Juyin section. With a disdainful smile, he said, But now, you are afraid of Lin Feng's luck, so you refuse him. This move has destroyed Juyin sect's 1,000-year reputation. It is disgusting. He is the destiny, the sect's luck is limited, the Supreme Elder said in a deep voice. So what? Zhang Chen was still disdainful and asked back, We cultivators, we seize the fortune of heaven and earth, we live if we advance, and we die if we retreat. As the saying goes, crisis and opportunity coexist. If Juyin sect wants to become a sect in the upper domain, you, the group of Supreme Elders, will have no hope for life. We must take a gamble. After saying that, he said with great sorrow, as the eldest brother of Zhu Feng of Juyin sect, I really can't bear to see the sect reject such an opportunity. Everything is for the sect. Everyone was speechless. There is really nothing wrong with this statement, but it is not convincing when it comes from Zhang Chen's mouth. I always feel that something is strange. Seeing that the Supreme Elders were still silent, Zhang Chen said again, May I ask all the Supreme Elders, How long have you been trapped in the current realm? How long is your life left? Are you willing to perish in the middle domain, or be reborn in the upper domain? Hearing this, the 12 Supreme Elders all jumped. Although the middle domain is much better than the lower domain, it is still far from the upper domain in terms of the concentration of spiritual energy and various cultivation resources. As Zhang Chen said, a cultivator will live if he advances, and die if he retreats. If possible, no one wants to die on the road of retreat. But the problem is, Zhang Chen. This is the decree of the ancestor, said the great elder. As soon as this was said, Gu Changqing and others opened their eyes. If it is the decree of the ancestor, then there is no room for maneuver in this matter. I just don't understand why the Julian ancestor, who has never been concerned about worldly affairs, has been so active recently. Zhang Chen was also stunned. Why did the Julian ancestor come out to show his presence again? Can't he just wait to die honestly? This Lin Feng is his tool. He must be monitored closely and must not be out of control. After a little thought, he had some guesses in his mind. The luck of the Son of Destiny is indeed terrifying. The Julian ancestor should be worried that Lin Feng will bring disaster to the sect, thus affecting his already short life. Zhang Chen was originally thinking about trying his best to keep Lin Feng in Julian sect. But if it was the decree of the ancestor, then he could do nothing about it. Just when everyone was ready to bow and shout obey the ancestor. What about the decree of the ancestor? Zhang Chen gritted his teeth and interrupted loudly. If even the ancestor of Julian sect has lost the desire to move forward, then Julian sect should not stay. If the ancestor does not withdraw the decree, today, I will quit the sect and wander around the world with junior brother Lin. Hearing this, everyone was shocked again. Gu Changqing, Li Fazhu and several peak masters were all overjoyed and almost laughed out loud. Since Zhang Chen became a disciple of Julian sect, many people have been worried. They are worried that the golden cavalry of the dynasty will come one day and kill Zhang Chen while destroying Julian sect. But now it's good, Zhang Chen is going to quit the sect on his own. This is a great thing. Lin Feng was even more shocked. Zhang Chen actually wants to quit the sect for him. And he wants to travel the world with him. Isn't this so touching? He is doubting at this moment whether he has misunderstood Zhang Chen. In fact, Zhang Chen is a good man who values friendship and loyalty. But the problem is, no matter how he looks at it, he finds Zhang Chen extremely unpleasant. He can't even think of him at all. Zhang Chen, don't talk nonsense, Xiao Hongai scolded hurriedly. Master, please forgive me. Zhang Chen took a deep breath and said in a sonorous voice, Junior brother Lin and I hit it off at first sight. Since it is the decree of the ancestor, I will no longer force it. Today, I will quit the sect. Are you serious? The Supreme Elder narrowed his eyes and asked. Of course, Zhang Chen asked back. Never regret it? Even the Emperor can't keep me here. Okay, the Supreme Elder nodded, with a smile on his lips. According to the sect rules, quitting the sect without authorization is considered treason, but since you are so loyal, then I will. The words were not finished. Wait a minute, asterisk 4. The moment the voice fell, Zhang Lianyu, Lin Mubai, Qing Ning and a white tiger jumped behind Zhang Chen. They said in unison, I want to quit the sect too. Wandering around the world with my senior brother, asterisk 4. The corner of the Grand Elder's mouth twitched. Zhang Chen was also very upset. He was determined to quit the sect, so why were these three lunatics and a stupid tiger still clinging to him? Hong Ai, you don't care, looking at Xiao Hong Ai, the Grand Elder asked. Hearing this, Xiao Hong Ai stood up and sighed, if so, then I will quit the sect too. As their master, I will go to the world to teach them. This made the 12 Grand Elders stagger and almost fall from the sky. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 94. The scene was very quiet for a while. The 12 supreme elders were confused. Zhang Chen wanted to quit the sect, and they absolutely welcomed it. It was understandable that Zhang Lianyu and the other 3 crazy people wanted to follow him, but what the hell was Xuanhuan? He actually followed the disciples to make trouble? What they didn't know was that Xuanhuan was actually moved by Zhang Chen. She had never expected that this disciple who usually behaved improperly would have such a loyal side. She didn't have any ideas about Lin Feng, and she didn't dare to have any ideas. She was mainly dizzy. But it was rare to see Zhang Chen like this. How could she, as a master, not support him? Even if he really quit the sect, he would protect him to the end. More importantly, thinking of this, she was not dizzy anymore. Unprecedented clarity. Let's talk about Lin Feng. At this time, he was almost moved to tears. Putting aside Zhang Chen and the 3 crazy people, in his opinion, Xuanhuan was definitely doing this for him, and she was willing to quit the sect. It was a great honor to have such a master. How about asking the ancestor for instructions? After a long time, a great elder finally suggested. That's the only way, the great elder sighed. This matter is out of his control. If Xuanhuan and others really quit the sect, Zhifeng will be useless. Even if Mu Kui, the 4th true disciple of Zhifeng, is still there, if he returns from the mission and sees that his master and fellow disciples have all quit the sect, he will probably want to wander around the world. At this time, the elders wanted to ask, where is the end of the world? Why don't we go together? This way, we can avoid being exhausted. Just when the elders were about to turn back and ask the ancestor Juyan for instructions, a spiritual power gust of wind suddenly appeared, sweeping everything in sight. The gust of wind quickly gathered into a hurricane, ignoring other people, and only rolled up the struggling Lin Feng, landing on his back and falling heavily to the ground. Then, the hurricane evolved into a pair of big hands with only skin and bones left, and lifted Lin Feng up high and dropped him, repeating this for more than 10 times. After a while, Lin Feng was thrown down and his limbs were wailing, his eyes were full of stars, and he vomited blood frequently, without any resistance. After finally stopping, he found himself being restrained by a big hand, lying on the ground, unable to move. At the same time, a jade slip rolled up in a bundle appeared out of thin air, as if it was moved by someone's hand, and slowly spread out in the air. At the moment when the jade slip was completely spread out, Lin Feng felt a pain in his brow, and a drop of his blood flew out from his brow, and finally fell on the jade slip, turning into 2 big characters Lin Feng. Soon, the jade slip disappeared out of thin air again, and the surroundings returned to silence again. Blood essence is included in the book. After a short silence, the 12 supreme elders exclaimed at the same time. At this moment, almost all the top leaders of Juyan sect have gathered, but no one took action just now. Doesn't this mean? Li Faju laughed and said, Lin Feng, it seems that the ancestor has changed his mind. From now on, you are my Juyan sect disciple. Lin Feng didn't know whether to be sad or happy. Resisting the pain in his body, he stood up and asked, you almost fell to death just now. Is this a necessary step to extract the essence and blood? After a while of hesitation, Li Faju comforted him, the ancestor personally took your essence and blood, so it must be special. Don't take it to heart. You just need to remember that Juyan sect has been established for 1,000 years, and you are the only one who has received this honor. These words made Lin Feng feel much better. Although the 12 supreme elders standing in the air did not speak, they communicated with each other through voice transmission. The ancestor is getting more and more irritable. Alas, the ancestor changed his mind and accepted the Son of Destiny. I don't know whether it is a blessing or a curse. Don't think too much, just wait and see. It's good this way, it's better than the 9 peaks being in vain. Maybe, This is really an opportunity for the Julian sect to go to the upper domain. After the voice transmission communication, they turned into streams and disappeared. The goal was achieved. Zhang Chen breathed a sigh of relief, and returned to his original position with Zhang Lianyu and others. Zhang Chen, you let your master look at you with new eyes. Xiao Hong'ai smiled. Zhang Chen said. Look at you with new eyes? How can this be? Let alone according to the experience of the 9 lives, Xiao Hong'ai will be disappointed sooner or later. Just say one thing. This does not fit his villain character. Fortunately, Lin Feng has now become a disciple, and from now on, he can let himself go. Just follow the plot, and when Xiao Hong'ai is completely disappointed, he will run away first. Then, the sky is high and the birds fly freely, the sea is wide and the fish leap freely. While monitoring Lin Feng, wait for the ascension. Such a plan is perfect. Just thinking about it makes me a little excited. Zhang Chen was a little worried at first, worried that Xiao Hong'ai would also go crazy. However, judging from the latter's performance just now, he should be thinking too much. His beautiful master is still normal. At this moment, the head of the sect, Gu Changqing, turned around and appeared in front of Lin Feng in an instant, and smiled reluctantly. Since your essence and blood have been registered, there is no need to take the combat power test. From now on, you are the true disciple of Zhu Feng of my Julian sect. As soon as the voice fell, he waved his green sleeves, and a cup of spiritual tea that had been poured long ago came from the table in the distance and floated in front of Lin Feng. Why don't you serve tea and kowtow to your master, he urged. Okay. Lin Feng nodded seriously, holding the tea in both hands, and ran towards Xiao Hong'ai with excitement. But after taking a few steps, he looked puzzled again. Because how come Xiao Hong'ai, who was smiling faintly just now looks like she is rejecting him? Lin Feng didn't think much about it and continued to walk forward quickly. After arriving in front of Xiao Hong'ai, he knelt on his knees, looked down, held up the tea leaves in his hands and said, Disciple Lin Feng, please have tea with master. After the tea, the disciple should kowtow 3 times and remember the master's kindness forever. Xiao Hong'ai forced a smile and wanted to take the tea. But Zhang Chen, the inner demon of the master, seems to have worsened. I faint when I see Lin Feng, Xiao Hong'ai sent a message to Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen was speechless. What is going on? Why is the plot wrong again? He couldn't figure it out, so he had to pat Xiao Hong'ai's shoulders and cast a look that said hold it. Xiao Hong'ai nodded, endured the discomfort and took the tea, opened her red lips and sipped the tea. Then, puff. She sprayed it out directly. And sprayed Lin Feng's face. After wiping the tea stains on his face, Lin Feng kept blinking, and his face almost turned into a question mark. Zhang Chen was also dumbfounded, in disbelief. This was tea for apprenticeship. Xiao Hong'ai actually vomited it? Such an action is not only extremely lethal, but also extremely insulting. After coming to his senses, Lin Feng's expression as if he had eaten shit was the best proof. At this moment, Gu Changqing and others also opened their eyes wide, and their mouths had opened into an O shape. They never expected it. They didn't expect that Xiao Hong'ai, who always protected his disciples and was extremely protective of his shortcomings, could actually spit out this spiritual tea for apprenticeship. Junior sister is still smart, Gu Changqing sighed in his heart, this move is murderous. Unable to bear the humiliation, even if Lin Feng does not leave the sect, he will definitely become a disciple of other peaks. In this way, junior sister will not be implicated by Lin Feng's heaven-defying luck. Other peak masters thought so too. Worried that Lin Feng would turn around and worship them as his master, these peak masters found an excuse and ran away directly. After all, the luck of the Son of Destiny is not something that everyone can bear. No one wants to affect their lives because of Lin Feng's strong enemies. In just a moment, Xuanhuan was the only one left among the high-ranking officials of Juyan sect. Seeing that Lin Feng's face was as gloomy as water and he might be angry and run away at any time, Zhang Chen hurriedly said, "Junior brother Lin, please forgive me, master, faints from tea." "Are you kidding me?" Lin Feng cursed in his heart. "Faints from tea? Can a cultivator faint from tea? What's more, Xuanhuan is a cultivator of the fourth realm." Xuanhuan also felt that she was too much, but she couldn't control herself. The spiritual tea just now was really hard to swallow. It was her instinctive reaction, not intentional. Master is a postnatal phoenix body, and he is indeed faint from tea. Xuanhuan decided to tell a white lie with a blush on her fair cheeks. Postnatal phoenix body? Lin Feng suddenly realized that he had heard of this physique. Phoenix is the second divine bird, the phoenix is male and the phoenix is female. The so-called acquired phoenix body is to take the female phoenix blood into the body after birth and merge it with the heart blood. Because it is acquired, some rare rejection situations will indeed occur. "Then will your disciple kowtow to you?" Lin Feng asked. "No need." Xuanhuan felt even more dizzy and hurriedly stopped him. "Master also kowtows, and feels dizzy." 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 95. Lin Feng became the 6th true disciple of Zhe Feng. Without offering tea or bowing. After the true disciple test, Xuanhuan went into seclusion and handed over all the affairs of Zhe Feng to Zhang Chen. Although Lin Feng's aura as the son of destiny was terrifying, he was very popular among the disciples of Zhe Feng. The reason was very simple. In the past, the disciples of Zhe Feng could still tell Zhang Lianyu and others about Zhang Chen's evil deeds and complain. But now, he is almost crazy. It's okay to be crazy. Since Xuanhuan went into seclusion, Zhang Chen has become more and more arrogant and domineering, and even treated Zhang Lianyu and others as his younger brothers. Zhang Lianyu and others not only did not dislike this, but even enjoyed it. If someone said bad things about Zhang Chen, before he had time to act, Zhang Lianyu and others would rush up and beat that person to the point that he could not take care of himself. The disciples of Zhe Feng are suffering. Now only Lin Feng can listen to their voices. On the mountainside of Zhe Feng, Zhanghu and Lin Feng sat on the edge of the cliff, talking quietly. The reason why they came here is that this place is relatively secluded and can avoid Zhang Chen. "I regret not listening to my senior brother. I never thought that senior sister Qingning would really go crazy." Zhanghu was extremely upset. That day, he was really scared. Even if he thought about it now, he still felt scared. It's not that he hasn't seen crazy people before, but it's the first time he has seen such a creepy madman when he goes crazy. "She almost buried you alive?" Lin Feng asked. "That's not the case, but it's even more terrifying." Zhanghu shuddered. "Senior sister Qingning actually asked me to take her to dig a grave." "Sixth senior brother, you didn't see it." The way she smiled with the ashes held high was simply terrifying. "Ashes?" Lin Feng's face sank, and he asked back, "So the ashes that covered me all night, you took Qingning to dig?" Zhanghu looked embarrassed. He had just recovered from his shock in the past few days and had no idea about this. "Please forgive me, senior sister Qingning's appearance," he hurriedly explained. Hearing this, Lin Feng kept nodding, patting Zhanghu's shoulder and said, "Friend, it's not that we are too easy to be fooled, but Qingning's acting is really like it." "That's right." Zhanghu also nodded, but his expression was gloomy. "I don't know how long the Peak Master will be in seclusion. Now the 9 peaks are in chaos, and we can only hide here." After speaking, he added, "If the 4th senior brother is here, he will definitely make the decision for us." Lin Feng didn't like to hear this. "What's wrong? Do you think he is heir?" "Don't worry, Zhang Chen won't be arrogant for long. He went to Danfan a few days ago and destroyed a lot of alchemy furnaces. He also issued a challenge everywhere, beating the true disciples of each peak to tears. Lin Feng sneered. Hiss. Hearing this, Zhang Hu took a breath of cold air. He knew Zhang Chen was irritable, but he didn't expect him to be so irritable. Let's not talk about Danfan for now. It's not something that ordinary people can do to beat up all the true disciples of other peaks. Danfan's peak master is not here, so no one will investigate. The fact that the eldest brother issued a letter of challenge is also in line with the rules of the sect, and he should not be severely punished. Zhang Hu sighed. So I'm waiting. Waiting for what? Wait until he makes a big mistake, and then ask master to come out of retreat. So that's it? Zhang Hu suddenly realized. The last time Zhang Chen made a big mistake was when he peeped at Zhang Lianyu bathing. Zhang Chen usually acts without scruples. Now that Xiao Hongii is in retreat, he will sooner or later make the same big mistake and be severely punished again. But if the peak master protects? Zhang Hu hesitated. Don't worry, master is in retreat. If things get out of hand, the first place to be alerted is the law enforcement hall. Then, Zhang Chen will be doomed. Lin Feng looked like he had a good idea. Law enforcement hall? Zhang Hu frowned. He really hoped that Zhang Chen would be severely punished, but if the law enforcement hall got involved, it would definitely get to the head of the sect and the masters of each peak, and then Zhifeng would become a laughing stock for others. As the first person to inherit the true teachings of Zhifeng, this was not what he wanted to see. Sixth brother, this is not appropriate. Zhang Hu straightened his expression and said, the peak master hates the law enforcement hall to get involved in Zhifeng's affairs the most. We can't let Zhifeng's reputation be damaged because of personal grudges. Hearing this, Lin Feng also became serious. He had just entered Zhifeng and didn't know that Xiao Hongii disliked the law enforcement hall. This beautiful master is good in everything, but a little weird, and he doesn't want to be hated for this. Now that he knows that Zhuyuan's soul embryo is used by Qingning and Lin Mubai, he is planning to brush up some more favorability, and then let Xiao Hongii invite the Supreme Elder to help him grab another one. But in this case, how can he deal with Zhang Chen? Lin Feng frowned and thought deeply. Finally came to the conclusion that there was a lack of help. Although Li Faju was still kind to him, Xiao Hongii disliked him, and other senior leaders of Zhuyan sect were ambiguous because of his identity as the son of destiny. Hey, it would be great if the fourth senior brother was here. Zhang Hu sighed again. Lin Feng was unhappy again, but his eyes lit up. Do you know where the fourth senior brother went? Can you contact him and ask him to return to the sect as soon as possible? Zhang Hu shook his head. Not only him, if Xiao Hongii did not use the blood jade slip to check, she might not know the specific location of Mu Kuei. After all, the task that Mu Kuei took was to kill a traitor of the sect who secretly destroyed his blood jade slip and fled everywhere. This person's whereabouts are erratic, and the last time he appeared was near the Buddha temple. The Buddha temple has a large sphere of influence, with temples scattered throughout it, and monks who enter its sphere of influence will be forced to chant sutras and recite Buddha's name. With Mu Kuei's dull and honest character, he is not fooled into becoming a monk, but he must be chanting sutras in a temple. He still can't recite it? Let's wait and see. If it doesn't work, we'll go find Mu Kuei. After learning this, Lin Feng made a decision. As I said, he needs friendly forces. Li Faju should not be involved too deeply for the time being, and the other disciples of Zhifeng are useless, so now they can only pin their hopes on Mu Kuei. Of course, if Zhang Chen makes a big mistake directly, causing Xiao Hongii to come out of seclusion in anger, then this beautiful master will be the strongest friendly force. What are you two talking about? A voice suddenly came from behind, a little cute. Hearing this, Lin Feng and Zhang Hu jumped up in shock. The two turned around to check, and indeed found Xiao Bai's huge tiger head. After a search, they both breathed a sigh of relief when they found no trace of Zhang Chen. Stupid tiger, what do you want to do? Lin Feng looked alert. Nothing, my senior brother asked me to find out some information. Xiaobai shook his head, and then suddenly transformed, his tiger eyes were red, and he spit out white mist and said, "Dare to call me a stupid tiger? If the tiger doesn't show its power, do you think I'm a sick cat?" This made Lin Feng and Zhang Hu jump in their hearts. Xiaobai is a big demon comparable to a Tianyuan cultivator. Even if the two of them join forces, they can't beat him. Stupid, Xiaobai. This is Juyan sect. If you dare to mess around, your demon pill will be destroyed, and your muscles and skin will be pulled out to refine pills, Lin Feng threatened. Xiaobai naturally knew this, so he just wanted to scare people. But being threatened like this, it felt a little embarrassed. For a while, it was neither going to leave nor admitting defeat, so it had to grin in place. "Stupid tiger, what are you doing?" Suddenly, Zhang Chen's voice came from behind again. "You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 96. Zhang Chen's appearance frightened Lin Feng and Zhang Hu again. Lin Feng was fine, as he was sure that Zhang Chen would not dare to do anything, so although he was panicking, his expression was calm. Zhang Hu was frightened and was considering whether to kneel down before speaking. Seeing that someone who could help him had come, Xiaobai smiled proudly and turned his head to complain, "Big brother, they are saying bad things about you." "Really?" Zhang Chen narrowed his eyes. "No. Absolutely not," Zhang Hu shook his head like a rattle. "We were just discussing the heroic figure of Big Brother defeating the true disciples of each peak. We admired Big Brother's wisdom and bravery." Zhang Chen did not reply, but looked at Lin Feng. How could Lin Feng admit defeat? He turned his head to the side. "Sixth brother, you are new here and don't understand the way of survival in the 9 peaks. If you confront Big Brother head-on, you will be beaten badly," Zhang Hu persuaded in a low voice. "Humph." Lin Feng still did not reply. Seeing Zhang Hu so tactful, Zhang Chen winked and asked him to leave first. This made Zhang Hu feel as if he had been pardoned, but he was a little hesitant. He was just discussing with Lin Feng how to deal with Zhang Chen. It would be too unkind to escape now. "Since you want to accompany him, let's go together." Zhang Chen was not vague. The flame blood dragon sword appeared in his hand, and he raised his hand and slashed out a sword energy. This sword energy was only a foot wide. Although it was red in color, it was not fast, and the lethality was not strong. With the realm of Lin Feng and Zhang Hu, if they went all out, they should be able to avoid it. It's not that he was soft-hearted, but he knew that if he really killed him, not only would he not be able to kill Lin Feng, but there would be unexpected situations. Moreover, now that Lin Feng has just become a disciple, and the plot has finally returned to the right track, he should be more cautious. But an unexpected scene appeared. Roar! Xiaobai roared suddenly, and the deafening sound waves shook the air. Perhaps frightened by its demonic aura and Zhang Chen's sword energy, Lin Feng and Zhang Hu did not choose to escape at the first time, but were stunned. It was not until the sword energy was in front of them that the two reacted, but it was too late to dodge. In the end, the sword energy accurately swept the two people, leaving bloody wounds, and the two had to retreat a few steps. And this retreat. Ah! The two fell off the cliff at the same time, and bursts of shocking sounds were heard. Zhang Chen frowned and stepped forward, looking down the cliff. This place is hundreds of feet above the ground. Although Lin Feng and Zhang Hu are both Yuandan cultivators, falling from such a height will not kill them, but will seriously injure them. At the same time, there was a movement behind him. Zhang Chen turned his head and saw a Zhufeng disciple standing behind him, looking at him with horror. There is no doubt. In the eyes of this Zhifeng disciple, it is definitely him who knocked his two fellow disciples off the cliff. Okay, he shrugged helplessly. This familiar feeling, familiar coincidence, made him understand instantly that it was definitely his villain Halo that played a role again. But he didn't expect that this coincidence was a bit cruel, and even Lin Feng, the son of destiny, was affected. You read it right, it was me. Go and complain. Zhang Chen waved to the fellow disciple. After hearing this, the witness really ran away. Xiaobai returned to his original state, and said with some self-blame, I just wanted to scare them just now, but I didn't expect. Zhang Chen didn't reply, just kept silent. Did I get into trouble? Xiaobai asked again. Yes, you got into big trouble. You knocked two fellow disciples off the cliff and caused serious injuries. One of them was a new disciple. According to the rules of the sect, I may be expelled from the section. Zhang Chen sighed. Ah. So serious? Xiaobai was shocked. Then I will explain to the peak master? Explain that it was an accident? At most, let her punish me. Explain, Zhang Chen sneered. Everyone knows that Xiaobai obeys him, what's the use of explanation? Judging from the situation just now, let alone Xiao Hong'ai, even Lin Feng and Zhang Hu, the two parties involved, would only think that he did it on purpose. Should we go down to save them? Maybe this can reduce the guilt. Xiaobai was a little anxious. No need. Zhang Chen grinned. Stupid tiger, do you believe that I have the power of prophecy? Xiaobai was a little confused. In such a scene, Zhang Chen still had the mind to joke. Within 3 breaths, someone will call my name. Zhang Chen was extremely confident. Xiaobai naturally didn't believe it. But Zhang Chen, a roar suddenly sounded. Xiaobai was shocked and hurriedly looked in the direction of the sound. Its pupils shrank immediately. I saw an old man who was over 50 years old and had gray hair on his temples appearing behind. This old man was wearing the white robe of the elder of Juyan section. He was Zhang Hu's master, the elder of Zhifeng. And behind the elder, there was a shrinking disciple of Zhifeng, who was the witness just now. Xiaobai was shocked. But it was even more shocked by what was to come. You are not qualified to punish me. Now the master is in retreat again, and Lin Feng and Zhang Hu have fallen outside the 9 peaks. Therefore, Li Fajia should appear, right? Zhang Chen said, looking at the elder. His tone was still steady, and his face was calm, just analyzing calmly. The elder was immediately furious. In his opinion, this was a sign of Zhang Chen's refusal to repent. He didn't realize how big a mistake he had made. Just when he wanted to capture Zhang Chen first. Zeng. A fierce sword sound suddenly sounded. Accompanied by the sword light, a figure flew into the air on a sword, rushing straight from the bottom of the cliff. Soon, everyone saw clearly that this person was Li Faju, who was in charge of the law enforcement hall. At this time, Li Faju was flying in the air on a sword, holding the unconscious Lin Feng and Zhang Hu in his left and right hands respectively. Judging from the injuries of the two, they were indeed seriously injured. Especially Zhang Hu, whose aura fluctuated, and he might have injured his Yuandan. Jumping off the silver sword, Li Faju said in a thunderous voice, Zhang Chen. How dare you harm your fellow disciples? If I hadn't happened to pass by and fed Zhang Hu a Yuandan, his Yuandan would have been shattered at this moment, and he might even have lost his life. Zhang Chen was too lazy to pay attention, and there was no surprise at all. Although Li Faju was not a cultivator of the upper 4th realm, he was a great swordsman and could fly on a sword. He knew this very well. If I'm right, when Elder Li came here, he should have sent a message to the law enforcement hall to inform the headmaster of this matter, right? Zhang Chen asked again. Humph, it's too late to be afraid now, Li Faju sneered. Recently, you took advantage of the retreat of the 9 Peaks master to make the 9 Peaks and even the entire Juyan sect restless. Do you really think that no one can deal with you? This statement is tantamount to a disguised admission. Zhang Chen shrugged again, still with a calm face. He looked in the direction of the Xiaofeng and said, "The headmaster has always wanted to show himself. Calculating the time, he is about to come. I'm here to help my junior sister punish you, the traitor." The headmaster Gu Changqing really appeared in the sky, his green robe moving with the wind. "Well, you should want to take me back to the Xiaofeng to punish me," Zhang Chen raised his head and asked. "Of course," Gu Changqing nodded. "Ha," Zhang Chen laughed out loud immediately. He looked at Xiaobai, who was already dumbfounded, and said, "Xiaobai, did you see that? I, the senior brother, have the power of prophecy." Xiaobai did not reply, but remained silent. Obviously, everything developed as Zhang Chen said. Obviously, at this moment, it should be shocked by Zhang Chen's prophecy. But why? It can only feel sadness. And why? Looking at Zhang Chen, who was laughing, its chest seemed to be blocked by a huge rock. Not only was it difficult to breathe, but it also had the urge to cry. "Come with me," said Gu Changqing in the sky. While speaking, he waved his green sleeves, and a hurricane of spiritual power appeared, which directly rolled up Zhang Chen and floated towards the direction of the first peak. "And me? I am also involved in this matter. Take me with you," Xiaobai shouted anxiously. Although its voice was very loud, no one paid attention to it. In this situation, it seemed that everyone wanted to punish Zhang Chen alone. "This is not fair," Xiaobai shouted to the sky, and his voice was already crying. "Xiaobai, there is no fairness in this world." Zhang Chen's words came from afar. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 97. Xiaofeng, the headmaster's hall. At this time, the elders and disciples of Xiaofeng and the law enforcement hall have gathered. Gu Changqing sits on the headmaster's seat, and Zhang Chen stands in the center of the hall. After looking around, Zhang Chen did not find the figure of the supreme elder. This matter has caused such a big scene, it is impossible for those old immortals not to notice it. Since they did not show up, it proves that they want to hand over the matter to Gu Changqing for full handling. Gu Changqing has a dignified face, and his emotions are not revealed. After taking a look at Zhang Chen, he asked coldly, "Zhang Chen, do you know your crime?" Zhang Chen ignored him. This made Gu Changqing frown. Seeing this, Li Faju stepped out and said, "Headmaster, there is no need to listen to his quibbling. Zhang Chen killed his fellow disciples, and this was witnessed by the disciples of Zhu Feng. The evidence is irrefutable." "Where are the witnesses?" Gu Changqing nodded. As the voice fell, a disciple of the law enforcement hall brought in a terrified Zhu Feng disciple who was already pale. Gu Changqing glanced at him and saw that he was in the lower fourth realm and had a bone age of 18. He instantly understood that this should be a new disciple who had just entered Zhu Feng, and it was very likely that he was an errant disciple of Zhu Feng. "What's your name?" Gu Changqing asked. Hearing this, the Zhu Feng disciple trembled and quickly replied, "My name is Lu Lin, an errant disciple of Zhu Feng." "Lu Lin," Zhang Chen knocked 2 fellow disciples off the cliff. "Did you see it with your own eyes?" Gu Changqing asked again. Lu Lin clenched his teeth and did not answer. Such a situation made Li Faju open his eyes and immediately scolded, "Lu Lin, if you don't tell the truth when the head asks you, you will be charged with the crime of harboring." Lu Lin was frightened and his face turned even paler, but he still didn't say anything. "Don't be afraid, I will keep you and your relatives outside the sect safe," Gu Changqing comforted. Lu Lin shook his head slightly and finally spoke, "Master, I am not afraid of Zhang Chen, but this is the matter of Zhu Feng. Without the permission of the peak master, the disciple cannot answer." Gu Changqing frowned again. He has always known that Xiao Hongii has always been very good to the disciples of Zhu Feng and never punished them easily. But he didn't expect that in the eyes of these Zhifeng disciples, he, the master, was gone. How outrageous! Bold! Hearing this, Li Fazhi scolded again. When he spoke, he deliberately urged his vitality. After hearing the sound, Lu Lin was immediately shocked and his blood flowed backwards, and a trace of blood flowed down the corners of his mouth. But even so, he still refused to speak. Just when Li Fazhi's eyes gradually turned cold and he was ready to accuse Lu Lin of harboring a crime. "Forget it, just ask me directly," Zhang Chen suddenly spoke. Oh! Gu Changqing was a little surprised. He secretly complained, has Zhang Chen changed his nature? He didn't want to implicate the disciples of the same peak. Don't get me wrong, even if you kill Lu Lin here, I won't be moved at all. But if you continue like this, you will definitely alarm Master if you want to convict me. And neither you nor I want to see Master appear, Zhang Chen replied calmly. This made Gu Changqing confused. He really didn't want Xiao Hong'ai to appear. After all, based on his understanding of Xiao Hong'ai, he would definitely be biased. This was inconsistent with his plan. As the head of the sect, Gu Changqing knew where the hidden dangers of the sect were. This time he wanted to take advantage of Xiao Hong'ai's retreat to eliminate the hidden dangers. In this way, he, as the head of the sect, would have made some achievements. Even if Xiao Hong'ai went crazy afterwards, many supreme elders would help him stop her. But the question is, why didn't Zhang Chen want Xiao Hong'ai to appear? What Gu Changqing didn't know was, Zhang Chen didn't want Xiao Hong'ai to get tangled up, and he didn't want to see Xiao Hong'ai's heartbroken look. Again, the same words. This woman doesn't know herself. She thought she was strong, but she was actually weak. She thought she could be cruel, but whether it was to destroy his Yuandan or expel him from the sect, she would cry behind closed doors. She would be happy for days and nights for Zhang Chen's change, and would also feel heartbroken for Zhang Chen's evil deeds. All these things destined her to live in entanglement and contradiction every day, and be tortured and bruised all over. 9 reincarnations repeated. Zhang Chen also hated Xiao Hong'ai, hating why he was unwilling to believe in himself as his master. But soon, he was relieved. He understood. It's not that Xiao Hong'ai didn't believe him, but that God didn't allow it. Because whenever Xiao Hong'ai felt his change, there would be iron evidence of evil deeds. This time is the same. For 9,000 years, Zhang Chen was tortured, but how could Xiao Hong'ai feel good? Specifically, Zhang Chen went against the will of heaven for 9 generations, and Xiao Hong'ai was actually the same. The difference between the two is that Zhang Chen has memories and knows that all this is the will of God. Xiao Hong'ai didn't know this, she just passively hoped that her apprentice would be good, and therefore repeatedly protected him, hoping to believe. Therefore, even at the end, before Zhang Chen died, this master who always said he wanted to clean up the house still cried bitterly, blaming himself and feeling heartbroken. This is the biggest difference between her and the heroines such as Zhang Lianyu. Zhang Chen, who has memories and understands everything, has not been able to succeed against the will of heaven after 9 lives. In this case, how can he expect Xiao Hong'ai to be able to do so? Zhang Chen has always known. His master has never given up on himself. So in this life, even if his heart is completely cold, even if he is determined to be a villain, he will not give up his master. He will do his best to let her avoid all torture. Rather than letting Xiao Hong'ai know about this, defending her in entanglement, and feeling uncomfortable in grief and anger, it is better not to know. No matter what the outcome of this matter will be. Then I ask again, Zhang Chen, do you know your crime? Gu Changqing's voice sounded again. What if you know your crime? What if you don't know your crime? Zhang Chen asked back. If you know your crime, you can be forgiven and just expel me from the sect. If you don't know. After a pause, Gu Changqing's voice became colder. If you don't know, if the evidence is conclusive, I will abolish your cultivation again. Ha ha. Abolish my cultivation? Zhang Chen laughed suddenly. You? Are you worthy? When hearing these words, even if Gu Changqing was deep in the city, he could no longer hold back the anger in his heart. He stood up suddenly, looking down at him, and said viciously, Zhang Chen. Don't think that you are the only son of the Fengling Zhang family, you can be lawless. Can your Zhang family come to this Juyan sect and kill me? Master, you misunderstood. Zhang Chen shook his head. Hearing this, Gu Changqing also put away his anger. He is the head of the sect after all, and he cannot lose his composure in public. Moreover, being too aggressive will indeed lead to consequences beyond control. But just when he was considering whether to convict Zhang Chen directly. I said you misunderstood because if one day, 100 members of the Zhang family, 82 worshippers and 3,600 purple riders descend on Juyan sect, it will not be you who will be killed, but the entire Juyan sect. Zhang Chen's voice was like a devil. Behavior is in line with the villain's personality, reward, female phoenix essence blood. Boom. As soon as these words came out, everyone present felt like thunder exploded in their minds. This Zhang Chen actually threatened to destroy Juyan sect. It's so audacious. Before everyone could scold, 12 strong auras suddenly appeared, from top to bottom, as if to suppress Zhang Chen to bow his head, but in the end they shrank back. Seeing such a situation, everyone present was like being poured with a basin of cold water, and they woke up instantly. They knew it very well. If it was really a fight to the death, before the dynasty took action, the Zhang family did have the strength to destroy the Juyan sect. Gu Changqing calmed down after slowly exhaling a breath of turbid air. Since Zhang Chen would rather fight to the death than have his cultivation abolished, he could be expelled from the sect. Anyway, his purpose was just to help the Juyan sect eliminate hidden dangers. When he was about to say something, he saw a disciple from the Xiaofeng quickly enter and said in panic, Master, it's not good. Zhang Lianyu, Lin Mubai, Qingning, and a big white tiger are killing towards the Xiaofeng. What? Gu Changqing was shocked. These lunatics are simply crazy. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 98. The Other Side. 100 miles away from Juyan sect, the old man Chen Shen was lying cross-legged in the air, closing his eyes and falling asleep. Below it, there is a 3-tailed white fox scurrying around. No matter which direction it rushes in, it will eventually be bounced back to where it was as if it hit a soft wall. At this time, the white fox was covered with wounds, but he still kept trying. Sudden. Chen Sheng opened his eyes suddenly, and a cold light flashed in his cloudy old eyes. Old man, what's wrong? The little fox saw this and asked in confusion. Someone made the young master angry, Chen Sheng replied. Little lord? Isn't it Zhang Chen? The little fox was excited. The reason why it ran away desperately was to see Zhang Chen, but no matter what, it couldn't escape Chen Sheng's control. Huh, bragging, the little fox didn't believe it. This place is hundreds of miles away from Juyan section, how can you still feel it at such a long distance? Little fox, you know nothing about the magical realm, Chen Sheng sneered. Old man, I hate being questioned. I decided to pull out your fox tail before turning you into a puppet. Anyway, the puppet made there is a fox tail, which is quite a hindrance. The little fox immediately shuddered. It has a new understanding of Chen Sheng. This old man is not only strong and cruel, but also very vindictive. I have told you so many times, my name is Xuanhuan. Don't call me little fox. The little fox still refused to give up. Why should I remember the name of a puppet? Besides, you can forget this name yourself, but you want me to remember it, Chen Sheng sneered. Humph, the little fox turned his head to one side. It didn't bother to argue with Chen Sheng, and had already decided in its heart that it would never forget this name even if it died. Seeing that the old man didn't take any action, it wondered, since Zhang Chen is angry, why don't you go and help him? If you find it troublesome, then I will go. Chen Sheng was too lazy to pay attention to him and continued to sleep with his eyes closed. It's not that he doesn't want to go, it's just that he can't. Unless it was a critical moment, he could not cross the line. This was the order of the family master. If he acts without permission, he will tear up the agreement between the Zhang family and the Juyan section. At that time, the Zhang family's plan to protect Zhang Chen will also be in vain. Seeing Chen Sheng's silence, the little fox wanted to taunt him a few more times. But when it noticed Chen Sheng's shoulders that were trembling slightly due to restraint, it finally stopped talking. Zhang Chen is so good, those who bully him must be bad people, it lay on the ground, very sure. I suddenly changed my mind. Chen Sheng opened his eyes again and joked, before you grow a fourth foxtail, I will let you take a look at the young master from a distance. Really? The little fox jumped excitedly. Of course, although I am bad, I always keep my word. What changed your mind? Was it my perseverance? Were you moved by me? No, I just suddenly want to see you running away because of the bad guy smell on the young master. It should be interesting and desperate, right? If you dare to slander the young master as a good person, you must be severely punished. Humph. Nonsense, Zhang Chen must smell good. I've smelled it. Juyan sect, Zhufeng. In the secret room on the top floor of Yongxiao Palace, Xiao Hong'ai was sitting cross-legged on a simple futon and was in retreat. Suddenly, she noticed something, opened her beautiful eyes, and said, "Come in, I am restless and cannot completely retreat." As the voice fell, an old man pushed open the stone door and entered. The old man is Zhang Hu's master, the great elder of Zhufeng. Seeing the great elder hesitate to speak, Xiao Hong'ai frowned slightly. What happened to make you linger outside for a long time? Why? Hearing this, the great elder sighed, "Peak Master, I didn't want to disturb your retreat, but something big happened in Nine Peaks." Event. Xiao Hong'ai's heart skipped a beat, and she had a vague premonition. Zhang Chen knocked Lin Feng and Zhang Hu off the cliff, and both of them were seriously injured. The elder said. What? Xiao Hong'ai was shocked. She had just looked at Zhang Chen with admiration before, but only a few days had passed, and she actually did such a bad thing. Seeing her doubts, the great elder said again, "This matter was witnessed by Zhufeng disciples with their own eyes, and the evidence is conclusive. Especially my disciple, his Yuan Dan almost shattered and lost his life. When I arrived, Zhang Chen was even more confident. Without any excuse." Xiao Hong'ai fell silent and said after a long time, "Are you here to complain? This matter cannot be arbitrary and requires detailed investigation." "No, I'm here to tell the Peak Master that Zhang Chen was taken away by the leader and the people from the law enforcement hall." Lu Yang interrupted. These words shocked Xiao Hong'ai again. She instantly understood that it must be Gu Changqing and the law enforcement hall who wanted to directly convict Zhang Chen while she was in seclusion. Although he was angry, he also understood at the same time. If this is really the case, then there may be solid evidence that Zhang Chen harmed his fellow disciples. Otherwise, Gu Changqing, the leader, would not rather face her anger afterwards than intervene in this matter. Both fell silent. Xiao Hong'ai's beautiful eyes were tightly closed. Although she didn't speak, one could feel an obvious sadness. Zhang Chen destroyed Ling Shanfang. Although she was angry, she still protected him. Because monks are already riddled with struggles, being too restrictive will only make Zhang Chen constrained. But this time is different. Taking action against a fellow student was the most unacceptable thing for her. And Zhang Chen has done this kind of thing again and again. Great Elder, as a master, am I too derelict in my duties? Xiao Hong'ai asked. Her voice was very light and soft, but it was filled with countless sadness. Peak Master, you have asked me this question many times, the elder said seriously. Don't take the blame for your disciples' mistakes. They failed your good intentions. Good intentions? Xuanhuan smiled bitterly. She had also asked Zhang Chen this question before, and Zhang Chen's answer was the same at that time. But the result? Nothing changed. Suddenly, another elder from the 9 peaks arrived. Seeing his panicked expression, Xuanhuan said, first, I already know that Zhang Chen was taken to the first peak. In any case, he is my disciple, Xuanhuan, and it is not the turn of outsiders to punish him. I was about to go to the first peak. That's not it? Peak Master, Zhang Lianyu, Lin Mubai, and Qingning, the 3 true disciples of the 9 peaks, learned that Zhang Chen was taken away, and they actually rushed to the first peak. This is going to start an internal fight in the sect, the elder who arrived said anxiously. Hearing this, Xuanhuan was instantly struck by lightning. Internal fighting in the sect is punishable by death. If Zhang Chen made the mistake alone, she could still find a way to protect him, but now Zhang Lianyu and others were also involved, and the sect was infighting. What should she do? What else can she do? Fortunately, the head of the sect took action personally, and Zhang Lianyu was knocked unconscious before she could self-destruct the emperor's source. Lin Mubai and others were also quickly captured, but the white tiger rushed to the first peak like crazy and suffered minor injuries, the elder who arrived said again. Suddenly, Xuanhuan felt a pain in her heart, her face turned pale, and her body staggered. Seeing this, the elder hurriedly comforted, Peak Master, calm down. You are an acquired phoenix body, don't let the phoenix blood invade your mind. Yes, Peak Master. This matter was caused by Zhang Chen, and you can't protect him this time. Otherwise, Zhang Lianyu and others may also be held accountable, said another elder. Protect. Xuanhuan looked desperate. This time, how can she protect him? The matter was so big that it would definitely attract the attention of the supreme elders. What reason could she use to defend him then? Even at this moment, she still wanted to believe Zhang Chen. But everyone said the same thing and the evidence was conclusive. How could she believe it? Zhang Chen, after all, disappointed her. Huge tears slid down Xuanhuan's cheeks. She had never been so desperate as she was now, but she still forced herself to move her feet and walked out. No matter what, she still wanted to go to the first peak and bring Zhang Chen back. Because, he was her apprentice. She, Xuanhuan, the apprentice she taught most attentively. Walking out of Yongxiao Palace. Suddenly, Xuanhuan's body stagnated and stayed in place. She was dizzy, and as she lost control of her body, her vision began to distort and change. Soon, her eyes were empty, as if she had lost her soul, staring at the sky, and whispering softly, Zhang Chen, you are my apprentice, Xuanhuan, you and I are one master and apprentice, and we will never leave each other. At the same time, under the Juyan sect's main peak, an old man with a haggard face, skinny body, and a dead aura emanating from his body, with white eyebrows, woke up in a jade coffin. The 4th time. His tone was extremely tired. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 99. Ah, the old man in the jade coffin sighed. If Qingning was here and heard this sigh, she would be struck by lightning. She fell into the 9 life replay. When Zhang Chen was abolished and expelled from the sect, she tried desperately to follow him. In the end, she succeeded, but before leaving Juyan sect, she vaguely heard a sigh in her ear. That sigh was exactly the same as this one. And this old man was the Julian Patriarch. His spiritual consciousness enveloped the entire Julian sect, and the Julian Patriarch instantly understood what had happened. "This is too sudden," he murmured, his voice bitter. In order to preserve his life, he has been in a state of suspended animation. But since the day Zhang Chen's Yuandan was abolished, he has been awakened by some force from time to time and fell into the nine-life replay of others. The first time was Zhang Lianyu. Witnessing Zhang Chen's previous 9 lives with his own eyes, the Julian Patriarch was a little sad, but generally speaking, he was still calm. He has lived for countless years, and his heart is as hard as a rock. Naturally, he will not go crazy like other people. Moreover, in Zhang Chen's previous 9 lives, the two had never even met each other, which had nothing to do with him. The second time was Lin Mubai. From Lin Mubai's perspective, watching Zhang Chen's previous 9 lives again, although Julian Patriarch felt sad, his mood was still stable. In addition, he began to feel a little irritable. After all, every time he died, well, he was awakened to watch the 9-life replay, which consumed his life. The point is that he had no power to resist the awakening power. This kind of power made him begin to feel afraid. After some thought, he felt it necessary to pay attention to Zhang Chen. That is why when Zhang Chen defeated Jianfeng Zhenchuan and was discussed by Gu Changqing and others, he said to wait and see. The third time was Qingning. And this time, Julian Patriarch was not calm. Qingning's feelings for Zhang Chen are far beyond those of Zhang Lianyu and Lin Mubai, so after learning everything, the changes in Qingning are extremely distressing. That day, seeing Qingning desperately wanting to follow Zhang Chen and being injured, he sighed for the first time. Julian Patriarch felt like he was an audience. He was watching Zhang Chen's previous 9 lives over and over again from different people's perspectives. 9 lives and 1,000 years. Each time, he could clearly feel the passage of time. In other words, he watched for 3,000 years in total for 3 times. For such a long time, if he hadn't been tough, he would have been driven crazy. After that, Julian Patriarch began to think carefully. He found a pattern that those who could see the 9 lives back and went crazy because of it were all people around Zhang Chen, and they would all be disappointed with Zhang Chen. To be on the safe side, he wanted to tell Xiao Hong'ai about this, but the power was too strong, so he dared not act on his own, so he could only tell Xiao Hong'ai not to punish Zhang Chen and not to regret it. It's not that Julian Patriarch had never thought about going against the will of heaven. He knew that the appearance of Lin Feng would greatly reduce his lifespan, and Julian sect would eventually be destroyed. For this reason, he had even thought of killing Lin Feng himself. But fate is hard to defy. Compared to others, he had a deeper understanding of Zhang Chen's previous 9 lives, and knew even more how strong the halo of Son of Destiny on Lin Feng's head was. He was very sure. If he took action directly against Lin Feng, not only would he not be able to kill Lin Feng, but it would bring disaster to him and Julian sect. It was a good idea to keep Lin Feng out, and it almost succeeded. But for some reason, Zhang Chen was very dissatisfied with this. He even said that he wanted to withdraw from the sect on his own. Helplessly, Julian Patriarch had to take Lin Feng's blood essence again and let him enter the book. Although he knew that Lin Feng's lifespan would be greatly reduced again after he became a disciple of Julian section, although he also knew that in this way, whether it was him, Julian sect, or Xiao Hong'ai and others, they would not be able to escape the ending of the previous 9 lives. But he still did it. The reason was also very simple. Although he didn't know what Zhang Chen wanted to do, since this was Zhang Chen's choice, he, as an ancestor, could only fulfill it. After all, the reincarnation of 9 lives was repeated, and both Julian sect and others owed Zhang Chen too much. Moreover, Julian Patriarch also had his own considerations. In this life, although Zhang Chen wanted to be a villain, judging from various circumstances, Zhang Chen should not let Lin Feng have an easy time. In addition, with the power that helped Zhang Chen in the dark, he always felt that the ending of this life might change unexpectedly. After Lin Feng became a disciple, Xiao Hong'ai went into seclusion. The Juyan patriarch had a short lifespan and could not stay awake for a long time. Seeing that there was no sign of deterioration, he fell into a state of suspended animation again. But who would have thought? It was too sudden. Without any warning, Zhang Chen was arrested and taken to the Shaofeng on the charge of harming his fellow disciples. The elders and disciples of Zhufeng were extremely convinced of Xiao Hong'ai, the peak master. Although the elder of Zhufeng was extremely dissatisfied with Zhang Chen, he still told Xiao Hong'ai about this matter. At this time, the Juyan patriarch could no longer stop it, because as Xiao Hong'ai fell into the nine-life replay, his vision began to distort. I am almost dead, but I am getting more and more dissatisfied with the heaven. I am almost going crazy. Juyan patriarch laughed at himself. As Zhang Chen said, he was a man who had seen big scenes. But he had never seen such a scene as the nine-life rebellion. And he had never seen it again and again. After saying that, Juyan patriarch closed his eyes again. This time he did not enter a state of suspended animation, but fell into a void of darkness. When the light appeared and the darkness faded, he merged with the world. Although he could not move, he could see everything. At this time, the sun was setting in the west, and the setting sun was in the afterglow. In front of him was not the Juyan sect, but the Ruyun Peak, which was in the southernmost part of the central region and thousands of miles away from the Juyan sect. At the top of the peak, there was a two-story red jade pavilion. In front of the pavilion was a spiritual pond, shining with spiritual light. Behind the pavilion was a half-acre spiritual field, where white cranes and spiritual beasts appeared frequently. Beside the spiritual pond, a young man was fishing with a rod, and a woman in red stood behind him. When the young man looked back at him, the woman had a serious expression and flicked the boy's forehead with her slender fingers. When the young man turned his head, the woman's solemn expression faded again, and her smile was as beautiful as a flower. "Master, why did you come here?" The young man did not dare to look back, but asked. "Because this is home," the woman replied in seconds. "Home?" The young man was silent for a long time, pretending to be puzzled. "Isn't Master a member of the Xiao family? How could he settle down on this dangerous peak?" Hearing this, the woman's beautiful eyes dimmed instantly. This made the Juyan patriarch feel sour. Xiao Hong'ai is a member of the Xiao family, but she has acquired the blood of the phoenix. The phoenix is a divine beast, and its blood can completely change the physique of a cultivator, but how can such a divine beast's blood be easily obtained? Therefore, Xiao Hong'ai only fused the ordinary blood of a female phoenix. This was a reward from the late emperor after the Juyan patriarch was seriously injured in the battle for the dynasty. Phoenix blood is of great benefit to cultivators, but because it is acquired and ordinary phoenix blood, it will also be rejected. When Xiao Hong'ai first merged the phoenix blood, she was often bitten by the phoenix blood, becoming indifferent and numb, as if she had no emotions, rejecting everyone. As a last resort, the Xiao family had to build this red pavilion on this dangerous peak, and let Xiao Hong'ai live in it for a long time. Only after she became a cultivator of the upper fourth realm and could barely resist the phoenix blood devouring heart, she was able to leave and enter the Juyan sect. Diverting his sight, the Juyan patriarch began to look around. Sure enough, he soon found the red-clothed figure hanging in the sky, staring at the three golden characters "First life in the sky in a daze." "You come up and expose people's scars, Hong'ai, you have to hold on," Juyan patriarch silently encouraged. After saying that, he added, "I have to hold on too. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil." Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 100. Xiao Hong'ai actually doesn't know how to be a master. Because she grew up in a dangerous peak, surrounded by flowers and plants every day, and with white cranes and spiritual beasts. Ever since she was a child, before joining the Julian sect, she had never even met anyone else except her grandfather and her ancestor, who would occasionally send messages to inquire about the situation. When Zhang Chen joined the Julian sect, even though he passed the true inheritance test, no peak master was willing to accept him as a disciple. At that time, Zhang Chen's lonely look made Xuanhuan see him. At that time, she had just joined the Julian sect and was not even the peak master yet. However, in order to accept Zhang Chen as her disciple, she established the Julian Nine Peaks and accepted this great disciple as the master of the Julian sect. Zhang Chen was only 9 years old when he joined the Julian sect. Although there was a dandy air in his bones, Xuanhuan didn't care. Because the moment she accepted Zhang Chen as her disciple, she decided that she would never give up on her disciple. After all, she had experienced it firsthand what it felt like to be given up. But this apprentice really made her worried. When he was young, he just liked to play pranks, but as he grew into a teenager, his behavior became more and more deviant. It was not uncommon for him to molest his fellow juniors and beat his fellow juniors. Looking at herself and Zhang Chen in Tianbian, Xuanhuan felt sad, but she also smiled happily. She didn't know what the situation was now, but she still remembered the scene before her. She remembers it clearly. One day, when she was thinking about whether her great disciple's nature was hard to change, she noticed something strange. Zhang Chen's eyes changed. Although she was still evil, and there was even a hint of frivolity in her eyes, she was also keenly aware. In addition, those dark eyes also revealed the vicissitudes of life and were full of helplessness. She was extremely sensitive to Zhang Chen's eyes and behavior, and she was sure that she would not misread him. She couldn't help but start thinking. Maybe she just saw Zhang Chen's appearance. Maybe he, the great disciple, is not really hardcore? Thinking of this, she was very excited. After years of teaching and worrying all night, only at that moment, the clouds opened and the moon shone brightly. Xuanhuan felt that as a master, she was too derelict in her duties. He has been teaching Zhang Chen to be kind, but he has never paid attention to Zhang Chen's true thoughts. So she decided to have a heart-to-heart talk with Zhang Chen. And brought Zhang Chen to this home that she originally decided not to set foot in again. Falling from the sky, Xuanhuan came to the young Zhang Chen. She thought. Perhaps all of this is an illusion caused by the phoenix blood eating his heart. Maybe all this is just a dream. But she still wanted to relieve it. Because she clearly remembered that after arriving at the Ruby Pavilion, Zhang Chen changed from usual and became extremely well-behaved and obedient. Although she returned to her original self after leaving, this was indeed an unforgettable time for her. She squatted down, her red skirt covering the ground. She smiled and looked at Zhang Chen's familiar facial features, but her smile suddenly faded. Wrong. Although the facial features of the young man Zhang Chen in front of him remained the same, his black eyes were as clean as the spiritual spring in front of him. Not only was there no evil at all, but he even shone with some indescribable aura. This was the first time she noticed something was wrong. But she didn't think much about it. After all, the situation at this time was difficult to explain, and it was normal for some violations to occur. Zhang Chen. The woman in red in the picture suddenly called. Huh, the young man turned back with a smile. Ah, he was hit on the forehead again and quickly turned his head back. Puff. Seeing that the boy was gasping for air in pain, the woman in red laughed out loud. Just pretend, I won't feel bad anyway. But I feel bad, the boy replied. What are you feeling distressed about? I feel sorry for Master. Master clearly doesn't want to come here, but he is still forcing a smile. The woman in red was silent. She stepped forward slowly, hugged the boy from behind, and said seriously, I really didn't want to come here before, but it's different now. What do you mean? The young man asked. Because there is one more you here. This was my home before, but from now on, it will be the home of our master and apprentice. This time it was the boy's turn to be silent. After a long time, the young man forced a smile and said, "Master, don't keep your word. If my disciple has nowhere to go one day, he will have to come here to depend on you." "Okay, if that day comes, I will come here to wash and cook for you," the woman in red smiled. "Then you won't be my wife." "Nonsense." Seeing that his master was getting angry again, the young man quickly broke away and ran several feet away in an instant. But the next second, he was entangled in the red whip again and pulled back. She raised her delicate hand and flicked the boy's forehead. The woman scolded, "How dare you even make jokes about master? Tell me honestly, what are you thinking about?" "What are you thinking about?" the young man wondered. "Humph, you think my teacher is blind? A few days ago you were doing evil everywhere, but recently you have become extremely well behaved, and you keep saying that you want to impress my teacher. Are you being stimulated in some way?" the woman snorted softly. As she spoke, she released the boy. The young man covered his forehead with his hands and looked up at the sky. "Master, do you believe in fate?" "Well." The woman didn't know how to reply. "Anyway, I don't believe it," the young man said again. "I want this sky to be able to cover my eyes no longer, I want this land to be able to bury my heart no longer, I want all living beings to understand my intentions, and I want all the Buddhas to disappear into thin air." "Where did you learn these words?" the woman frowned. "He," the young man smiled awkwardly, "I read it in the book." "Book?" The woman was a little confused. She had been alone since she was a child and had read a lot of books. But in her memory, no sage had ever said such a rebellious statement. With a straight face, the woman said seriously, "Zhang Chen, the way of heaven is above, you can't speak nonsense. If you want to prove the emperor one day, you still need the heaven seal." Hearing this, the boy curled his lips. Seeing the woman frowning, as if she was going to start scolding again, he quickly changed the subject. "Master, you will always believe in me, right?" Of course the woman nodded, "But the premise is that you must follow the right path, not act recklessly, not bully the weak, not—" "Stop. Stop," the boy was about to have a headache, and asked again, "What if someone wants to kill me one day? If you are innocent, I will protect you with my life. If you are guilty—" "What if you are guilty?" "Master will collect your body." The boy was immediately in a bad mood. Seeing that he was a little depressed, the woman sighed and said, "Zhang Chen, you are my disciple Xuanhuan. As long as you follow the right path, you and I will be a master and disciple and will never leave each other." Her expression became more serious, and then she said, "On the contrary, your sin is my sin. If one day you really deserve it, then before others kill you, your master will clean up the door first, and then—" "Then?" the boy asked. "Then your master has not thought about it yet, maybe I will whip your corpse 100 times. You are too cruel." He, that's right. I am cruel and ruthless, you'd better be careful. Come, eat a spiritual fruit." Looking at the spiritual fruit he had just peeled, the boy was speechless. Well, it is indeed cruel and ruthless. This spiritual fruit is almost gone after being peeled.